Welcome, everybody, to our 2023 Spring Hall of Fame ceremony. My name is Josh Raby. I'm the athletic director here at Quincy University. Today is a great day to celebrate as we induct 11 individuals into our Hall of Fame. Our inductees represented Quincy University in a first-class manner and have distinguished themselves as another pillar in our Quincy University Sports Hall of Fame. Our first inductee, Brady Collings, earned his degree in sports management and sports marketing from Quincy University in 1995. He made a significant contribution to the QU men's volleyball program. At the end of Brady's QU volleyball career, he was 5th in kills, 4th in aces, and 3rd in digs. But even with these impressive accomplishments, volleyball was not Brady's first sport of choice. When he was 17 years old, Brady moved to Colorado to pursue his Olympic dream of alpine ski racing. While ski racing, he met 2 ex-collegiate volleyball coaches who took a keen interest in teaching Brady how to play volleyball. Brady was introduced to this new sport, which became his passion, and he dedicated his training to volleyball. Brady got offers from several Division I volleyball programs, but was convinced that Quincy was a better fit. As he was redshirted as a 20-year-old freshman, QU embraced him with open arms. His passion for the sport and his teammates allowed Brady to take a leadership role with the team. Brady knew that all of his hard work and effort was about the men's volleyball program at QU, its legacy, and its future. After earning his degree, Brady pursued a career in the sports gear arena. Brady has worked for 4 companies, including Nike, Spyder, Global Brands Group, and Liberated Brands. Today, he is the global GM brand president of Spyder, one of the world's most recognizable and credible outdoor sportswear brands and sponsor of the U.S. Winter Olympic team. I'm not done. Brady is also quick to acknowledge his time at Quincy University shaped him as a team player and this approach to leadership. As Brady says, the detours, roadblocks, and stumbles to get to Quincy and those that you have experienced in life are oftentimes the things that make it that much sweeter. Ladies and gentlemen, our first inductee, Brady Collings.
So I got 2 minutes. Ryan Lampe's got somewhere to be, right? Shortly. So I got to be quick. First of all, thank you. Thanks for having me. What? Use the mic. All right. You couldn't hear me before? So first of all, thank you. This is, means a lot. I do appreciate it. It's been many years, but I think, like I said, I really appreciate it, and thank everybody for recognizing me and this sport. But I think the volleyball career is one thing, and I think I got to a point of, at the beginning it was like me, right? And then I think I eventually came to realize that it wasn't about me; it was about that table. And building a program after, so God. But you sit back and you think about the stats and all that, and in the end, it really doesn't mean a lot. And then I, just as an individual, but then as you grow and start to see things differently. But then on the professional side or the professional career side, I absolutely couldn't have done this without my wife pushing me along. So thank you. Love you. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Congratulations, Brady. Rick Hummel is a Quincy native and graduate of Quincy Senior High School. He spent 2 years at Quincy College before getting his journalism degree at the University of Missouri and moving on to a renowned sports writing career. Rick is an author and sports columnist best known for his work with the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, a 51-year career that started with a young man's love for sports. Rick auditioned for a job at WGEM when he was 12 years old. Guess he didn't know an Oakley. He didn't get that announcing job, but he worked as a student spotter for QHS Sports Broadcast. He covered sports for the Quincy Herald-Whig during the summers in college and then worked for 2 years at the Colorado Springs Free Press Sun while serving in the U.S. Army. Rick was hired by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch in 1971 and took over as beat writer for the St. Louis Cardinals in 1978. He covered countless Cardinals playoffs, including 3 World Series championships, 35 World Series, and the last 42 All-Star games. Rick was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 2007 when he was honored with the J.G. Taylor Spink Award for baseball writing. In 2008, Rick was inducted into the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, has been awarded the Missouri Sports Writer of the Year 3 separate times. Rick is also a member of the QHS Blue Devil Hall of Fame. In addition to baseball, Rick reported on professional basketball and hockey and on the college football, basketball, and boxing. He co-authored a book with Tony La Russa, One Last Strike, released in 2012. Rick's last day at the Post-Dispatch was November 30th, 2022 at the age of 76. Rick, unfortunately, cannot be here today to accept, but in his honor, Jeff Dorsey, local personality, will be accepting on his behalf. Jeff, Rick Hummel.
Obviously, as you heard, Rick is a little under the weather, and hopefully he will be available to come to many more of these events in the years ahead. And I'm just honored to be here to step in for him today as a good friend. There are a few people in this room that know Rick better than I do, but when I was asked to do it, I couldn't refuse it. So, first of all, good morning, everyone. I'm honored to accept this prestigious Quincy University Sports Hall of Fame award on Rick's behalf. Didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this, but I'll try to be as brief as possible here. Rick is a renowned sports writer, as you heard, and I won't read half of what I wrote here because Josh took care of that for me. So, well, with some short notice here, my friend Paul Brown helped me out as well. Found out that Rick's illustrious writing career began here at Quincy College as a freshman in the fall of 1964. He was a student reporter for the student newspaper, the Quincy College Falcon. And ironically, in his last article he wrote for the Falcon on May 27th, 1966, Rick mentioned the names of 4 future QU Hall of Famers: Dave Costigan, Dennis Tramey, Dennis Cruz, and Dewey Calmer. I was with Rick and Linda Moore back in January of this year at a recent Quincy Exchange Club meeting, when he was informed by Linda that he was going to be inducted into the QU Sports Hall of Fame on this day. He was humbled by being named the Quincy University Hall of Fame to the Hall of Fame, and later said to me in that meeting, "Wow, what did I do to receive such an honor?" Well, as you heard, as we all know now, we know what Rick did. I say thank you to the selection committee on behalf of Rick, and I proudly accept the award today. Thank you very much.
Dustin Jacoby attended QU for 3 semesters in 2009 and 2010 and was the quarterback for the football team under head coach Bill Turlesner. Dustin chose to forego his redshirt senior season at Quincy University and focus his talents on professional mixed martial arts. Dustin made his amateur debut at the Oakley Lindsay Center here in Quincy and advanced quickly through the amateur ranks. He was on the fast track to competing for the world's leading MMA promotion, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. After going 6-0 in his first 6 professional bouts, Dustin made his UFC debut in 2011. Although he came up short in his first 2 attempts at getting his first UFC victory, he was released from the promotion in 2012. Committed to becoming a professional athlete, Dustin competed in a one-night, 8-man kickboxing tournament in 2013 with the world's biggest kickboxing organization, Glory Kickboxing. He would go on to defeat 3 opponents that night he faced, and he started a career in professional kickboxing. Dustin won 3 of the 5 tournaments he competed in, which he led to a ranking as high as number 2 in the world in his weight class and a shot at the world title. Dustin came up short in his quest of becoming a world champion, losing a close decision to his opponent. From there, Dustin knew he wanted to get back into the MMA and compete in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. In August of 2020, Dustin won a unanimous decision victory, earning his 2nd contract with the Ultimate Fighting Championship. On October 2020, Dustin Jacoby got his first UFC victory in almost a full decade after his UFC debut. Dustin currently has 6 UFC victories and is ranked number 13 in the world in the light heavyweight division. Dustin cannot be with us because he has a fight tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Dustin Jacoby. So, Brady, all right, I want to congratulate you again on becoming a Hall of Fame member, all right? So last night we had the meet and greet, okay? Dr. McGee, what's the book? Gyrafalcon? Is that what? Gyrafalcon? Gyrafalcon? The yearbook. Yeah, okay, yearbook. All right. I'm a 2-time graduate of the university. But anyway, so last night, getting to know Brady, you know, the gang over there, having some laughs. It got off to a slow start. It did, you know, kind of feeling each other out. And then somebody brought up a name. Cockpit. Oh, birds of the same feather flocking together, right? So the one gentleman says, you know, obviously a little older than me, he goes, oh yeah, 4th house from the corner. Yeah, we're the ones that gave us the name Cockpit. And I'm like, no kidding. You didn't find that in the Gyrafalcon. So I believe we have some members of the Cockpit over here with the baseball convention. We have a history lesson here. We have found the originator of the name of the Cockpit, and it is still known that today. Let's have a round of applause. Right there. Okay. Fernando Barreto graduated from Quincy University in 2004 with a degree in graphic arts for business. Fernando continued his education at Quincy University, earning his MBA in 2005. In his 4 years at Quincy University, Fernando stood out as a pillar of the Quincy men's volleyball team. Known for his fiery style of play, Fernando was an all-conference selection 3 out of his 4 years at Quincy and was chosen as an All-American honorable mention in 2002. 20 years later, Fernando still ranks in the top 5 all-time in 3 different categories: hitting percentage, total kills, and blocks. Fernando attributes most of his success to his overall the overall QU community, especially the structure around university athletics, including his team members and head coach Tim Koth. As a member of the Quincy community, Fernando was an assistant coach of the Quincy High Blue Devils and spent 5 years in various roles in the student affairs department. Following his time in Quincy, Fernando has enjoyed a career in marketing and advertising, working with some of the most prominent advertising agencies in the country, as well as serving as a global marketing director. Recently married, Fernando now lives with his wife in Miami Beach, Florida. Ladies and gentlemen, Fernando Barreto.
Wow. I wrote a speech too. So overwhelming to be over here in front of all you guys. Jesus. There's really a lot of people that played a role in this, so I'm going to thank a few of them. First, I want to congratulate Brady and the rest of the inductees for this. It's a special honor, a special time to be here, and I think amazing achievement for everybody that's a part of this club. Can't wait to get my picture on a plaque there. I hope that's the case. You know, I've talked a lot about what I should say here, and it's really like a culmination of the 5 years that I spent here. This was wrong, the bio. It's 5 years. It's actually 6, but I won't. It was a while. It was a while. But none of it would have happened without Linda Godley, who was the Dean of Admissions at the time and really worked with me to get me here. She was a special part of the time that I spent here. I want to thank her, absolutely. Obviously, the committee, Tappy over here, Coach Atwell, a lot of the folks from my time at Quincy that were able to recall all of my transgressions and still invite me to be up here and talk, so this is amazing. Obviously, I said, the coach, it's a lot of personalities. Tim, thank you, to manage, especially in the time that we were here, as 19, 20, 21-year-olds. We always thought that we were right all the time, and it's probably not the case. A lot of personality, so I want to appreciate Tim Koth. And then obviously, and more important than anything, the teammates that I had, the table that's sitting over there with Paul, Jeff, T, James, who's a Hall of Famer as well, Rob, who's a Hall of Famer as well, many other of the folks that shared the court with me, shared the practice times with me, and without them, none of this would be possible. It's an incredible testament. I just got married in Miami last year, and I had a big contingency of Quincy people that made the trip down there, and extremely fortunate to be a part of it and to be a part of this experience. Mr. Raby said on the intro, on the bio, right, that I credit a lot to the structure around Quincy University athletics. And I'm from Brazil. I came here as a 17-year-old, and my first semester at QU I had a 1.9 GPA, so I recovered somewhat. But it was really because we had, study sessions, and we had the professors that knew you and that would call you out if you weren't in class, and, the fact that people cared, and people really had you, they were invested in your success. And I think, the slogan now is success by design, and I think that's true. At least it was true in my case. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't a part of the Quincy community, the Quincy University community. And, I was thinking about this morning, and, Coach, who was a pain in the ass back then, would always say these, kind of three things. And I think that they're very common and that kind of bring forward into your day-to-day, your professional life these days. And always is, he would say, always focus on the next ball. So, nowadays we just kind of focus on the present. Don't let the past hold you back. Always look forward. Battering the ball was another one that was common in practice. Always batter the ball. And I think that translates to adding value to every situation, right? Like leave things better than you found. And I think that was a principle that was instituted in us a lot. And then, as you guys heard and probably maybe remember, I was kind of a crazy lunatic on the court, and he kept saying, control what you can control, and focusing internally, focusing on yourself, and making sure that you're not letting the things around you control your environment. And I think that's some of the lessons that I learned here and that I take with me on my day-to-day, and I really appreciate the time that I had here, the success that I had here, but also a lot of the lessons that I learned while being part of Quincy. And I see, guys that were here during my time, and it's amazing to come back and see everybody. In a lot of ways, the place stands still, and then in a lot of ways, there's been a lot of progress, and I really appreciate it. So thank you, guys. You brand manager or brand president, I'm in advertising if you need some business, Thanks, everybody. It's a pleasure.
You might have had a 1.9, but that was a 4.0 delivery to Brady. Rasan Hall is a 1996 Quincy University graduate with a degree in public relations. Rasan had a tremendous showing on the basketball court his junior and senior years, and he went on to play for Athletes in Action and professionally with William Jones Cup in Taiwan and with the Chinese Basketball Association. For his time with the Quincy University Hawks, Rasan's stats speak for themselves. During his 2 seasons at QU, Rasan set the school record for three-point field goal percentage and ranked 4th in NCAA Division II three-point field goal percentage. He totaled 804 points in 2 seasons, and he won the team free throw award and led the team in charges taken. Rasan was voted as team MVP and honorable mention All-American his senior year. During Rasan's time at Quincy, the Hawks earned the first 2 bids to the NCAA Division II tournaments in school history, making it to the regional semifinals his senior year. After his time with international basketball, Rasan returned to his home state in California, engaging in several businesses, marketing endeavors, until he began a career in pharmaceuticals. Rasan has been with Pfizer Incorporated as a senior hospital sales specialist for the past 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Rasan Hall.
Thank you all so much. Thanks for everybody coming. I know a lot of you have traveled far and wide to be here in support of me, and I want to say I appreciate you guys all for making the trip. Brady and Fernando did a couple things for me that made it a little easier for me. Brady got a little choked up, which is going to help me a little bit, let me relax a little bit, because it's going to happen. I want to let you know that. And then Fernando went past the 2 to 3 minutes that was available. So sit back, relax, dig in. If you have any sausage left on your plate, maybe you want to take a bite, and we'll get into it. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to Josh, the athletic director here, also the Athletic Hall of Fame chair, Dr. Linda Moore, as well as Quincy University President Brian McGee. I want to give a special thank you to Steve Luton and Dave Adams. I know when you get this type of award that is bestowed upon you, it takes people on the committee to really make an argument or a case for why you belong. And the two of them were instrumental in that process. And then in that group of people, I want to give a special thank yous to John Potts. I know that we had many conversations on the phone where, you know, he would tell me what was going on and what was happening, and I'd say, hey, Potts, let it be. Whatever the universe brings, it's going to bring. And through his presentations and putting together my package of my stats and all of those different things, it takes a special person. I stepped on campus here, I think this August, it'll be 30 years. I know, good moisturizer. I know you see it. It's good moisturizer. But 30 years have gone by, and so in order to get to this place, you know, in my thought is you have to have people in your corner that are making a case for you to bring you on board. So thank you. And now, you know, I was talking about being a little emotional earlier. My wife Debbie and my son Khalil are here. Also, my nephew Taz. My nephew Taz was here when I graduated. He was 5 years old. You see him over there. He's a grown man. he's a grown man. So, but when Debbie and I had Khalil, he's now 11. Everything changed as far as my emotions were concerned. I was, you know, tough and kept everything tight. And as soon as they put him in my hand, it was like I couldn't watch Budweiser commercials anymore. The Clydesdales, the dog going away and then making his way back home, and Debbie would look at me, "Are you crying?" I was like, "Are you crying? Are you crying?" So we'll get there. So let's start at the beginning. The beginning is, you know, my dad will be gone for 10 years now this September, and he not only taught me the game, but the love and the passion that accompanies it. You know, we would play basketball when I was younger. I think I beat him for the first time legit when I was going into 7th grade. We'd play, let me win the first game, and then he'd beat me the second game, then he would keep it close in the third game. But I think the 7th grade is when I beat him, and we never played again. But he was like, my job is done here. There's nothing I can do. And so I'm really appreciative and thankful that he taught me the game, and then the passion he had for it had trickled down to me. This whole journey started in high school, to believe it or not, and I didn't even know it. Jeff Dunlap was a former QU coach here, and he recruited me at Crespi High School to go to a junior college in Southern California called College of the Canyons. And Dunlap left in my second year. We had some success. We went to the state tournament both years. I was there, freshman and sophomore year, and we had some success. But in that second year, Dunlap moved on to Quincy University, where he started coaching with Coach Hawk here and his staff. And he was able to bring some players over from College of the Canyons. He brought them over to Quincy. And so when Dunlap moved here, he's like, well, we have another guy, Rasan Hall, that's at the same place where we brought these other two guys in from. And so he brought me over to the university. So now I'm here, and some of the first things that you think about when you come to the university, as Fernando touched upon, is like, how did you get here? How'd you get in? How did that process go? What was the transition like? And I want to start off with then Jeannie Brown. Her name is now, I believe, Jeannie DeLuca. She's married, lives down in St. Louis, in the greater St. Louis area. But in my enrollment, she brought me in. Every class that was available that could transfer from the junior college rank over to the university, I mean, she fought tooth and nail so that I could transfer in as a junior transfer without having to actually still be in that sophomore classification to be able to come into the university, and she was instrumental. And then three of my favorite professors. Dr. Alfred Pogge, he was a longtime professor and scorekeeper for us, and an amazing educator. He was in the life science area where he taught. And then my mentor, day one I stepped on campus, some of the advice I got was get with your mentor and get a plan. If you want to be done when it's time to graduate from college, get a plan, get on schedule. And Dr. Hugh Fitzgerald, also known as Fitz, he was tough as nails. There was no jokes, if you know me, 99% of the time I'm kidding. There's very little I take serious. And Dr. Fitz was no joke, but he knew I was successful playing basketball. I mean, he read, he saw what was going on, but more importantly, he wanted to see me succeed off the floor. And I wish he was here so he could see it, because he was big. Dr. Leonard Bialis, a theologian, you guys all know here if you've been around this area. He was my favorite professor at any level of my education. I'm not the most religious individual in the world, but I'm very spiritual. And through his classes, especially his world religion class that he taught, it definitely opened me up and helped me understand the large role within finding out my spirituality. And then we get to the basketball stuff. There was a transition coming from California to the Midwest. I think at that time in my life, I had been to Europe. I played on the under 13 U.S. national team. I was a goalkeeper for the U.S. We were in London, Denmark, Sweden, over there. And I think that's about the extent of my travel around the U.S. Being a Southern California kid, we were able to, do the new normal trips, San Francisco, San Diego, that type of stuff. But I'd never been. So take a California kid, Los Angeles, pick him up and drop him in Quincy, Illinois. I think at the time, and I didn't see the sign when I came in, but I think there was like 32,000 and change, and I think there's about 32,000 and change that are still here. But there was two people that came before me that Dunlap brought over, and that one of them was Reggie Bell. If you guys know from the committee, he's already a previous Hall of Famer. And there was another guy by the name of David Langley. And so by having them here already, you know it. I saw your arm movement. That awful pass I threw, and he caught it at his waist and windmill dunked it. Yeah, man, it was unbelievable. But those two were here, and it allowed my transition to be a little bit easier as we got through. And then there's a few people I wanted to single out in that group. Tamel Moore, Thomas Gill Jr., also known as TJ, and then Fred and Sandy DeVoe. Tamela and Tommy, they had a different role. They lived right across the street here. There used to be, don't get started. There used to be an apartment building that was right next to this substation over here, and they lived there. And when I came through in the summer, we got here a little early for the summer. I remember coming over the bridge at Hannibal and seeing, I think that was the year of the flood, when everything had flooded and the waters were receding. And so when I got here, they fed me, they let me hang out, they told me stories, they told me how to move and operate. And so it was the transition from going from there to here, trying to get acclimated with the program, the community, the environment. They were tremendous in that process. And then Fred and Sandy DeVoe, Fred graduated a year or two before I got here. And him and his wife, Sandy, they lived off campus, they worked here in the community, but it was a place where they opened their home to me, and and other players as well, but they opened their home to let us just come and hang. Just if you wanted to get away from the campus, if you needed a bite to eat, if you just wanted to, talk nonsense and say whatever, they welcomed me with open arms. And, these are things that I remember 30 years later that still stick with me in my experience at the university. And then there's Garland Grant. Garland's over here. Garland, super amazing, talented guy, brilliant. He's known to us on the team as G5G. He used to do some fraternity dances in the locker rooms when we were showering after practices and games. But Garland's point for me was he gave me someone on the team that was like the North Star. I mean, we had a lot of bright cats on. Andy Wagner, smart guy. We had a bunch of guys that were smart, but Garland was like the biochemist, pre-med kind of teammate, and he was that North Star when it came to education. I'll tell you two quick stories about Garland. One of them, Garland's parents, Mark Tree? Is it Mark Tree? Mark Tree, Arkansas. Garland's parents sent him to college with monogram undergarments. He came to college with monogram undergarments. So we're in the locker room, we're showering, we're changing. He's got GG. He's got GG, so we would tell jokes. And who was going to take your undergarments? The only person that could fit him was probably Tom Leppard, and they would have been like a tight Speedo on him. So I wasn't quite sure what was going on with that. And then Garland always had the lotion. You look at him right now, he's silky. You look at him, he's silky smooth. Garland always had the lotion. He had a vat of Jergens, and it had a pump on it. And he would pump the Jergens out, and everybody would go to him to grab the lotion and make sure we were all smooth and crisp. So Garland, thank you. We move over to Coach Hawk. I'll talk about Coach Hawk here. The thing I can say about him after all of our years of friendships, with your friendships, you have a coach that's instrumental to you in your life. As your life takes on itself with work and jobs and family, you don't always talk. But anytime that we come together, whether it's a new birth or unfortunately there's life and death in the world, it's like you don't skip a beat. We pick up and we just go. But two things from Coach Hawk: patience and leadership. Those were two things that I definitely needed when I came here, because I was a very high-strung athlete. I wanted to win, and I wanted to do whatever it took to win. And his patience with me and the way that he handled me was almost perfect, because you could go too far to the right, too far to the left, and who knows where you'll end up. But his patience and then his leadership, situation and circumstance, how to handle, how to move, how to operate. Coach Hawk, always appreciate you and love you. And then last in that group of people is Mike Foster. I've gone over this many times in my head, so I think all the crying is done. But Coach Foss was that person who was your ultimate sounding board with all of the things that were going on in campus, as far as education, as far as, what people were saying about you in the community and how you felt and feelings. It was before that time where you could just be open about, your mental health and where you were at any given particular time. Coach Foss's door was always open. You'd go in there, you'd sit down, and he'd say, "Tell me what's going on." And you'd be able to talk to Foss. He was that dad that was your coach, but also that person away from home that you were able to have those deep conversations when frankly, Coach Hawk was on your nerves or he was busting your chops. You needed someone to talk to about him, but who? The team already knew we were all pissed off, but who do you go to? And Coach Foss was able to bring us in, settle it down, and you don't know how much you mean to me, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Let's get down to some of my team members. I'll try to move through quickly. We got guys, like I mentioned, Andy Wagner, John Peck, Tom Lepper, Jay Driscoll, Ryan Brown, Matt Steffi, another Hall of Famer, Paul Lentz here out of Payson. Those are just some of the guys as I'm thinking about my time being spent here. I already talked about David and Reggie, but some of the times I spent here, these guys all offered a different challenge for me. Andy Wagner, I think when I came in, Andy came in, that was his freshman year. Is that right, Andy? When I came through, it was a freshman or sophomore year. And Andy, if you know Andy, you guys all know Andy Wagner. He's a monster, Quincy Blue Devil. And I was coming in as a transfer. They also had, I think, Paul Lentz at that same time, came in at that time. And I was like, where do I fit in here? Where do I fit in? And I remember looking to Andy and going okay, and that's the guy I'm competing against for minutes. Paul's coming out of Payson Seymour, one of the top-rated players. These are guys, and these guys challenged me every day. I mean, you saw how many game winners, if you were around that time, how many game winners Andy hit. You saw how tough and how Paul could fly through the gym. And so these guys challenged me every day. Tom Lepper, we used to battle in practice. That big behemoth of a man. We'd go to the hole, and he would foul you like it was nobody's belief, and I'd pick myself or scrape myself off the floor and go back at him. Ryan Brown, James Harris, the list goes on and on and on. And then two other people that are kind of the unsung heroes. John Welby, he's also known as Pops, and Anthony Twain. They were both our team manager. These were the guys that games were over, that grab our stuff, put it together, get us ready, practice gears around. They can never be thanked enough. And so, when we start to try to, wrap this up a little bit, I'm going to talk about a little bit about the success we had together. I don't really remember the games, and the box scores. I recognize that all of those things are important and that they're components on how I've, got here today. But the things I remember as I reflect on my time at QU are the experiences that we shared on campus. The dorms, the cafeteria, the eatery, holiday breaks when we were asked to stay on campus and we had to, stay in Padua and the dorms and eating at Elders. I know that you guys all that live here in town, Elders Fried Chicken, that was our spot. That was our spot. I would call Potts and are they still open? Are they still open? And he's like, no, the business and the building and the whole thing. But the way that they treated us there over the holidays and the breaks and when we go there, they treated us incredibly well. And then most of all, the road trips. There's nothing like being on the bus to Wayne, Nebraska or Grand Valley State in Michigan. And the stories and the laughter is often what I miss most about playing basketball and being at the university. There's one story, I was looking for a story that was safe to tell. And there were not many. But there's one. We were on a road trip. I don't remember where we were, and we were traveling with the women's team. I think that was the first year where the women's team, they combined the budget, so we were playing the teams back and forth. And there was the women's coach. Her name was Coach Penny Lewis. I don't know if you guys remember Penny. But Coach Lewis was around, and the bills come out, everybody gets their bill. The coaching staff, I think Foss was in charge of the budget back at that time. And Coach Lewis is going through her receipt. She stands up and she looks around and she said, "Who ordered the gratuity? Who ordered the gratuity?" We look, we're like, what, huh? What are you talking about? She's like, "Somebody ordered the gratuity? Who did it? Tell me who did it." Coach Foss, Hawk were like, "Penny, let me talk to you for a second. So that was one of them. There's a special group of friends that have gone beyond college. I want to mention them by name. James Harris, point guard here at QU. Marcus Manning, who's starting quarterback here at Quincy University for many years. Both here in the building. Katasha Jones, she was a guard for the women's basketball program. And there was another guy by the name of Christopher Newton, who I met through Marcus, who played football at Northeastern and also down at the University of New Orleans. Our friendship, we've always had a friendship. We've texted back and forth, and we've done that. But these relationships were fostered from 30 years ago to where we are today. Over the pandemic, we were in our houses, we weren't doing much, and our bond just became extremely, extremely tight. We jump on weekly Zoom calls, talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they were able to show up. Marcus came all the way from North Carolina. KJ lives in Indiana, but she likes to say it's Chicago. And then James came all the way in from Detroit. So I want to thank you all for being here and supporting me. I really appreciate that. And then when we get down to my family, my nephew Taz, as I mentioned earlier, we've been together for many moons, and I've enjoyed every moment being your uncle. I wouldn't do it any other way. To my wife Debbie, my son Khalil, I'm glad we had this opportunity to celebrate and share in this amazing honor. To my son, hard work, dedication, discipline will allow you to reach heights that you couldn't even imagine. I'm humbled, I'm honored. I never played the game thinking that this was even attainable. I played for the love and the passion that was instilled by my dad, and I thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Rasan, that was a great story about Coach Penny. I think Garland would have wished the draw story went into the saved folder you were talking about that weren't up here. I saw his face. Paul Jackstadt graduated from Quincy College in 1971 with a degree in history. In his first year at Quincy College, Paul was the only freshman to make it from JV to varsity. He played 5 games that year. As time went on and Paul's skills progressed, he moved into a starting role his sophomore year, scoring 246 points that season and shooting 56% from the field. His junior year, Paul became the leading scorer on the team, averaging 16.4 points a game. The Hawks finished 22-8 that year, losing a postseason game in overtime 96-92. That team still holds the Quincy University season record for most points per game with 91. As a senior, Paul averaged 23.8 points per game. He scored 541 points during his final season and shot 50% from the field. Paul scored 41 points in one game in his final season. The record for individual player points in a single game is 45, which is still held by Paul's assistant coach at the time, Dewey Calmer. Paul is presently ranked 17th in career scoring at Quincy University with 1,279 points. He was one of 2 unanimous picks to the All-Midlands Conference team as a senior. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Jackstadt.
First, I'd like to thank Dr. Moore and the selection committee for giving me this honor. Also like to congratulate all the other inductees. In the time permitted, I'd like to recognize a number of people who helped me during my 4 years at Quincy. 56 years ago, I played my last high school game at a small town in southern Illinois called Collinsville. I played for the K-Hawks. We were 28-3 that year. We lost in the quarterfinals, and I was devastated. In February that year, we lost to Quincy's Blue Devils. So when my dad asked me in March to accompany him to Quincy on a business trip, I was a little hesitant, but I did it. While making a stop, we stopped at Buter Bakery. He went in and he brought a gentleman out to the car by the name of Mr. Robert Fisher. Mr. Fisher talked to me. He says, "Well, where are you going to school?" I said, "I'm not." We're talking about whether I should enter the service. My senior counselor had said, "Don't go to college." ACT was not too hot. At any rate, he said, well, we have a college here, and I honestly did not know that. Quincy College I knew nothing about. I was not recruited by any team. I averaged 4 points a game. I played defense, and I played and started because I took the coach's kid's place because he couldn't play on the press. I was the head on the press, so I went everywhere on the floor. During the stop, he called Coach Artworth, and I owe him everything. Coach Artworth took me to the dugout in the Lincoln Douglas Hotel for a lunch. Over that lunch, he had me try a Reuben sandwich, which I had never eaten, but I ate it anyway. And during the conversation, he mentioned, well, I've given all my scholarships up, it's late, we'll see what happens. In April, I received a letter in what we call today snail mail, and I got a partial scholarship to come to Quincy. When I arrived here, I had to look for guidance. I played defense. I never played man-to-man. It was all offensive zone press all over, and I did not shoot. So in my freshman year, seniors Dan Tolbert and Mike Villa were two of the leading guys I could attach myself to. And I said, they've got it right, they do it right. They give everything they had, and I'm blessed for that. Then in my sophomore and junior year, it slowly evolved. Dan and Mike had graduated, but I gravitated towards Mike Brady, second in all-time scoring in our school's history, Bob Osipka, 20-year plus coach in the NBA, and a guy named Don Wenny, about 6'4", from St. Anthony's in Effingham, fastest, quickest center I ever saw. Well, in our sophomore year, we had a bad year. Junior year, much better. In my junior year, we went 22-8, as Josh said, and we averaged 91 points a game. This place was packed. We just ran with the ball. No three-point. No three-point. Still hold the record, 91 points a game. In my senior year, I found it a little unusual. I was elected captain, so I turned to a junior who was a hell of a player, Dave Rothery, who's also in the Hall of Fame. So I've picked pretty well. I got one guy left, Don Winnie. I got to get him in. All these other gentlemen are in the Hall of Fame. I also come from a family of well, not real large, I guess, anymore. There was 8 of us. I was the oldest of 8. So family was big to me. What I found here at Quincy was family was big here. Coaches would bring their kids. I was talking to Mr. Longo. I remember him. And kids would be in the gym. Coach Artworth's kids were always in the gym. So I felt that relationship coming from a larger family. So I have to give credit to my coaches. Coach Artworth, Coach Longo, and last but not least, Coach Calmer. Now, Dan would refer to Calmer as Dewey, not me. He was my coach. But Dan was here while he was a player. I was not, so he was my coach. I'd also like to recognize my family members. My wife, Jane, of 49 years, just celebrated that on April 6th. My brother, Steve, and his wife, Diane. My brother, Eric, and his friend, Kathy O'Brien. And my brother, Mike Jackstad. We're quick on him for doing a little. He was very young when he arrived here in '67 with my family. He wanted to stay in my dorm in a drawer. I think he was about 4 then. In addition, I am very happy to have here my son Aaron, his wife Laura, my granddaughter Ella, and my grandson Andrew. My son Tim, a 2002 grad of Quincy, and wife Jen, and grandsons Harrison and granddaughter Emily. My daughter Sarah and her husband Brian. Not here are 2 other granddaughters, Gwyneth and Blythe. Gwyneth is playing in a high school soccer tournament in St. Joe's Academy in St. Louis as we speak. And Blythe is preparing to try and make the Junior Blues in hockey. So she's training. So I'm very blessed there. Also, I have with us some family friends, Chris and Marianne Mitchell, and a former colleague from CBC High School, Brian Youngberg. Finally, I got special recognition I'd like to pay to, for all their help over 4 years, Mrs. Artworth, Mr. Joe Quinn. He let me in. He warned me, I will have you out of this gym, out of this school as fast as heck. I don't care what Artworth says. I said, okay. Father Aaron Pembleton. It was his first year here, and I was one of his first advisees. I came late, so I had a late schedule. I ended up with a night class with him. Who gets a night class? These people are 25, 30 years old. Who does this? Well, it was him, and I had him for Western Civ, and that took. I ended up getting a history major. Father Owen Bloom, my head of our department. Dr. Costigan, and again, I don't think they do it anymore. He was my seminar and helped prepare me for my comp exams. Pass, fail. You don't pass them, you don't get out. You got to retake classes. So very helpful there. Dr. Pogge, our scorer, always reminded me when I didn't do what I was supposed to. And crossing borders, Coaches Francor and Coaches McKenzie would always help give me some tips, information. That's what kind of family this place was. Lastly, I pay thanks to Coach Calmer, because I think he's the one that pushed this. At my age, I didn't expect it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Bob Pollahan earned his accounting degree from Quincy College in 1973. Bob played a key role in the 1971 QU Men's Soccer National Championship team and in the 1972 team getting back to the finals. He was a key member of teams that finished first, second, and third in the NAIA National Soccer Tournaments during his illustrious career. He was on the He was on the National All-Tournament team in 1970 and on the District 20 All-Star team in 1971. Bob is also a member of the St. Louis Soccer Hall of Fame. In the words of one of Bob's former co-captains, Bob was a special soccer player right from the beginning of his time at Quincy. Bob earned his starting position early in his freshman season and remained a starter throughout his college career, playing 4 different positions. Few players could contribute skillful, consistent, versatile performances like Bob did. Comments from players include that Bob displayed excellent passing skills, was exceptional in the air, tenacious defensively, and covered a lot of ground. He was gifted technically and loved scoring goals. He was instrumental in framing the legacy of QU men's soccer program. Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Pollahan.
I want to thank the committee for considering me for admission into the Quincy Hall of Fame. I also want to congratulate the other inductees. Thanks also to my family and friends who have come here today. Quincy College was a great choice for the Pollahan family, as all 5 siblings graduated from here. My 4 years at Quincy were some of the best years of my life, although I must admit that retired life is pretty good too. The friendships I made at Quincy are still intact today, 50 years after graduation. We still make trips to Quincy for things like the Mart Heinen Golf Tournament, and we come to watch soccer games. We're all looking forward to our 50-year reunion later this summer. When I started as a freshman in 1969, it was Coach McKenzie's first year. So the other freshmen on the team, Mario Camacho, one of them, we said we broke Coach McKenzie in. Coach used to say, we used to say, keep it simple, stupid. And every time he said that, Mario would say, he's talking to you. Starting when my brother Tom was a freshman in 1968 through my brother Jim's senior year in 1976, our father never missed a home soccer game. And he also attended many away games, including the 3 years we played in Dunn, North Carolina for the national championship. We won that year in '71 with my brother Tom scoring the only goal, and we won 1-0. In closing, I would like to thank again everyone instrumental in considering me to join this Hall of Fame, and also thank Quincy College for 4 years of fun and even some learning. Thank you.
Kim Pinksterhouse Rockers graduated from Quincy University in 1999 with a degree in accounting. Kim was a two-sport athlete, playing basketball her freshman and sophomore years and volleyball all 4 years. Kim played a significant role in the Lady Hawks volleyball team. As a three-time QU volleyball team captain, she finished her senior year as the all-time leader in kills, digs, and service aces. In the Great Lakes Valley Conference, Kim ranked fourth in kills, ninth in digs, and first in service aces. Kim's awards include a single-season record of 423 digs in her freshman year, a school record of 33 kills in one game, the Brother Van Cleet Van Akron Award for Academic and Athletic Achievements, the 1998 GTE College Division District 5 All-American Women's Volleyball Third Team, First Team All-GLVC, GLVC Player of the Week twice, and McDonald's Invitational All-Tournament Team. She was nominated for the Mart Heinen Award of Excellence in Intercollegiate Athletics and for the Richard F. Scharf Paragon Award. Kim also excelled in academics. She was a presidential scholar and a member of the Chi Alpha Sigma National College Athletics Honor Society and the Phi Eta Sigma National College Honor Society. Kim was recognized as a GLVC Volleyball Scholar Athlete, a GLVC Academic All-Conference member for 3 years, a GLVC All-Academic Team for 4 years, and Who's Who among students in colleges and American universities. Kim has worked for AT&T for 23 years and is active in coaching and the community betterment in her local area. Ladies and gentlemen, Kim Pinksterhouse Rockers.
First off, I'm blessed and honored to be standing up here in front of all of you this morning. First off, thank you to the selection committee for recognizing my achievements. Also, congratulations to the other inductees here in the room today. My 4 years at QU was nothing short of amazing. I would like to personally thank a few people in my life who have had a major impact. First off, I'd like to thank my parents for always believing in me and for their unconditional love. Growing up on a dairy farm, there are no days off, so it was always extra special when my parents were able to travel and watch me play. My dad is no longer with us, but I have no doubt he is beaming in pride with heaven. Thank you to my family, my husband, my kids, my friends, for always listening to me, offering advice, and being my biggest cheerleaders. I can't thank you all enough. I have to credit back my former volleyball coaches, going back to junior high and high school, Kathy Buller and Fred Rockers. They say it starts with the basics, and they made sure that we perfected the basics. They both provided me the tools and confidence to be successful at the next level. My love and passion for this sport is a direct result of the impact that these two coaches had on my life. My QU volleyball teammates. This is a special group of people to me. We all had the drive to fight and the battle to win every match. I wouldn't be standing up here today if it wasn't for my amazing and talented teammates. We became one through our times together. We were a team that was well-deserving, and we had a desire within. Thank you all so much for the many laughs, the many tears, the many memories, but most importantly, thank you for the lifelong friendships. And last but not least, thank you to my coach, Tim Koth. Thank you for convincing me after my sophomore year to solely focus on volleyball. This transition actually allowed me to gain physical strength and perfect my skill. Your constant motivation and encouragement pushed me to heights I never dreamed I'd reach. Thank you for always inspiring me to be excellent in all that I do. There are not enough words to express how grateful I am for everything, but as I like to remind my kids often, in order to succeed, you must first believe you can. Thank you for the honor.
Congratulations, Kim. Heath Tagmeyer graduated from Quincy University in 1995 with a finance degree. His athletic skill set was utilized by the soccer, baseball, and football programs. Heath came to QU as a two-sport athlete. He was a two-year starter on the Division I men's soccer team and was awarded the 1992 Rookie of the Year award. Heath's strongest sport was baseball. He was a true offensive threat, ending his baseball career with a .352 batting average, 167 hits, 105 runs, 107 RBIs, and 31 stolen bases. Heath's offensive power was rivaled by his presence on the mound. Heath did not come to QU as a pitcher, but his passion for the sport and for his team led him to step up to the challenge. Heath excelled as a pitcher where he won 13 games in 2 years, tallying 2 shutouts. Heath won 8 games in 1995, which at the time was the highest mark of all time, and his 82 innings pitched was the 5th highest of all time. To top off Heath's athletic career at QU, Heath started practicing field goal kicking because the football team needed a kicker. He kicked 5 extra points in his first game. 2 games later, he kicked a school record 48-yard field goal. That record stood for 26 years. The Hawks won the remaining football games that season after he joined the football team, and Heath was named to the all-conference team. Since graduation, Heath has held various positions in the technology sector, and he earned his executive MBA from Arizona State's W.P. Carey School of Business in 2013. Ladies and gentlemen, Heath Tagmeyer.
Hello. Just got notified by my Apple Watch that I had a high heart rate coming up here, so. First of all, thank you to the selection committee for this great honor. I really appreciate it, and being nominated with the other greats that have been acknowledged today and others that came before us. I was actually lucky enough to play in the same era with Brady, Bart, who you're going to hear from soon, and Rasan. I can say they were fun to watch, and obviously great athletes as they're being acknowledged today. So I have a few thank yous and then a quick story. First of all, teammates. Obviously I played 3 sports, so football, baseball, and soccer. A lot of teammates through the years. Some you keep in touch with and some you don't. Luckily this weekend was a great opportunity to come up here and catch up with some old friends. We had Rhino, Oily, Bart, obviously, Toe, Jeff Marcus, Opie. So we all got to catch up and tell some old stories, and even though it's been 30 years and you keep in touch on and off over the years, it feels like you just pick up right where you left off and you start talking about the same stuff and you laugh and laugh and laugh. I'd also like to thank my wife. We made the trip from Phoenix, so she came out here with us and had a great time. She's a little younger than me, so she just whispered in my ear. She said, "You don't have to thank me because I actually wasn't even born when you did all this stuff." She was born, but still funny. What I should really be thanking her for, so we went out last night and all my buddies were telling lots of embarrassing stories about me, so I'm thanking you now for putting up with all that stuff and still sticking with me. Parents, both my parents were very supportive, so obviously it's great having parents that support your athletic endeavors and things like that, so that's been great. I'd also like to thank Coach Atwell. Coach Atwell not only nominated me, but he's also the one that recruited me to Quincy. I was playing at a junior college in Arizona and playing baseball and soccer, and we fortunately played in the national tournament in New Jersey. Coach Atwell approached me and had said, hey, we're interested in you possibly coming for soccer. And I said, well, I should tell you this, I play baseball too, and I actually think I'm a little better at baseball. He said, well, as a coincidence would have it, I'm the assistant soccer coach, but I'm the head baseball coach, so we'd love to have that. So that's a perfect fit. So, talking to Coach, most of you guys know him. Within a very few minutes, you're going to understand he loves sports, loves people, is really a great guy. So I think you'd learn, you surround yourself with good people, good things are likely to happen to you. So Coach Atwell is a great guy in that way. So a couple years ago when COVID was really bad and we were all staying at home and lockdown and things like that, Coach started posting this day in Hawks history. So he would take a date, April 15th we'll say, and he'd look back over the years and find 4 or 5 years where there was a great highlight. Maybe Quincy beat Edwardsville in a sweep and Bart had 4 hits and Oiley threw a shutout and Heath did something. So he'd post it. And so I found out about it a couple weeks after he started doing it. I thought it was great. We were sitting at home, we were bored, and it was cool reliving some of those memories. So it was really nice that he was doing that. And around the same time, well, actually a couple years before that, my father had started having some health issues. And so he was to the point where he was in a senior home and he was needing 24-hour care. So I'd go and visit him, and I started sharing some of those memories that Coach had posted. And he loved it. His face would absolutely light up. He'd beam about how great it was. He couldn't really talk because he had Parkinson's, but he would mumble and his face would just beam with excitement. So Coach kept doing that. So each week I'd print him out, take him in. He'd read him and read him again, and he'd stack them, and he'd try and share them with the nurses and stuff like that, and he just absolutely loved it. So thanks, Coach, for doing that. Sadly, last year he did pass. He eventually succumbed to his ailments. So. But it was just nice to be able to share all that with him. I think sports is a really good way to bond people, and so many things out there in the world these days are kind of negative. Sports is a great way to connect families, coworkers, different things like that. So this event is great. Thank you guys for putting this on. I really appreciate this honor, and go Hawks.
Brenda Walters Tanker graduated from QU in 2001 with a biological sciences degree, and she was a key player in the women's volleyball team. Brenda left QU as the university's all-time assist leader with 5,107 assists over her 4-year career, an assist record that still stands today. Brenda broke her own assist record with 1,615 assists her senior season, the most for any Lady Hawk in a single season. Brenda also set the record for most assists in one game her junior year with 80 assists, and then reset that mark her senior year with 90 assists. Brenda's accolades on the volleyball court were mirrored by her academic success. Brenda was named to the Verizon Academic All-American team. She was named as an Academic All-Conference and Academic All-American, and Brenda was selected as a member of the Who's Who among students at American universities and colleges. After graduating from QU, Brenda went to pharmacy school and earned her master's degree in PharmD from Purdue in 2004. Ladies and gentlemen, Brenda Walters Tanker.
The successes I had while here at Quincy were not mine alone. Being a setter on a volleyball team, all of my stats are dependent on my team. Every single assist I had was due to at least one other girl. The girl who hit the ball, and then of course the girl who passed the ball. So this award is really because of all you girls. Thank you for being great teammates. I think my coaches, especially Tim, You encouraged me and pushed me to always be better. I thank my parents for raising me with the skills of hard work and passion. Nothing great is accomplished in this world without passion. During the time I was at Quincy, my passion was for volleyball. While my passions have changed since my time here, I thank the people who fostered that trait in me during my life. It's the quality that's made me the person I am today. My passions now are for serving the Lord and my family, so thank you.
Bart Tunyas graduated from QU in 1994 with a sociology degree. His contributions to the QU baseball team set historical standards. His senior season, Bart was the team leader in triples, doubles, and RBIs. His batting average of .446 his senior year is still the second highest in the history of Hawk baseball. That mark ranked him 13th in the country that year. Bart's slugging percentage of .846, which was good for 4th in the nation, let him know that he was known as a power hitter. He finished his career third all-time for career home runs with 17 and third all-time for single-season home runs with 9. To go along with his power, Bart finished 7th in career stolen bases with 26. He tallied 19 stolen bases during his senior season alone. Bart's career batting average of .419 at the time was the highest ever for a QU baseball player. Currently, .419 was only bested by Hall of Famer Jason Rockers, who broke this record in 1997. According to Bart's former QU baseball coach, Pat Atwell, there is only one person who can say that he was the first NCAA All-American in the history of Hawk baseball, and that person is Bart Tunyas.
I had to get the notes out too. So I want to thank the committee, first of all, for this honor. This is my third Hall of Fame that I've been selected to, but the first one's my high school. That's pretty cool and all, but a lot of people get in their high school Hall of Fames. My second one is my junior college where I went, but we went as a team. The whole team went, so that's pretty cool. But this honor I'm most proud of for sure. I'm thankful to the committee for sure. It's truly amazing. When I got the phone call from Coach Atwell, I was pretty floored. I want to thank my wife. She told me not to thank her as well, Tago. But I'm going to thank my wife because without her, I'm going to try to keep it together, guys. I will choke up, I guarantee it. But I want to thank my wife of 30 years for supporting me no matter what and sitting through countless number of baseball games, hauling our 3 kids there, bringing her chair and her 2 books, or maybe 3. And in all fairness to her, though, she did read books during the game, but she always knew when I was up to bat, she would watch, and she knew exactly what I did every game. So I'm thankful to her. I want to thank my parents as well for driving me to a million baseball games growing up, supporting me no matter what I was doing. And I did a lot of stupid things when I was in high school and college. One trip particularly I want to talk about is our spring trip down to Florida my junior year. My parents decided to go along with us for the week down there to play ball, and they took my then girlfriend, who was 7 months pregnant, I believe, and my sister, who was about 6 or 7 months pregnant, also on this trip down to Florida, which was fine and all, played, coming back. Huge snowstorm in the south, so Coach Atwell decides to go a different way, so to avoid the storm in Atlanta. Well, not my mom and dad. My dad, stubborn self, decides to drive straight through the storm and got home and didn't make it. Slept in a Motomart, I think, one night somewhere down there, and then alongside an off-ramp somewhere. Got home 2 days later. Coach Atwell took us through Jackson, Mississippi, avoided the storm. And we were home, like I said, 2 days later they got home. So thanks, Coach Atwell, for that. My phone keeps locking up with my notes. Be patient with me. I also want to thank Coach Atwell for recruiting me, bringing me here. I was all set to go to Southeast Missouri State on scholarship, but was not guaranteed a starting spot. So I was all set to go, I think late July maybe of 1992. And Coach Atwell came to a baseball game of Jeff and I, one of my teammates who Tago mentioned, and I will never forget that. You know, I don't remember what I did that day. I have no idea what I did at the plate or anything, but Jeff pitched, and he came to recruit both of us. And we're talking to Coach Atwell after the game, and Jeff walks up with a beer in his hand. I'm like, it's probably not ideal, Jeff, but he did it anyway. And, well, Jeff came 2 years also, and he pitched and had a great career here as well. So thanks, Coach Atwell. And I do want to mention the stolen base thing. I mean, my kids make fun of me. They know I'm not fast. I am not a fast runner. But by golly, I could steal third base. You didn't have to be fast to steal third base. You just had to be a little smarter than the pitcher. So I did that a lot. I stole third more than I did second. So that is a little misleading. I want to thank my teammates. Tago mentioned them all already. Oily, Rhino, Jeff, Toad, who already went home. I want to thank you guys. I am not thankful for how late you kept me out last night, though. But we had a great time catching up. I loved it, had a blast. Thank you guys again. It might be another 30 years before I want to do that again, though. The only regret really I have about my time at Quincy is the weather. I'm not kidding you. I think it rained every other day up here. We had so many games canceled. I think Coach Atwell can attest to that. I swear it rained every day up here. Well, it probably did in 1993 because of the flood of '93, so that's when we were up here. I'll never forget making my 3-hour trek up here, a little longer because the interstate was flooded and I had to go around it and drive through a million snakes on the road. I will never forget that either. Teammates. My time at Quincy, I had to grow up pretty fast. Like I said, my wife at the time was a girlfriend. My girlfriend was pregnant, so I had to have some growing up conversations while I was at Quincy. It shaped me into the person I am today. Joe Gubb. I will never forget. Also, May, my wife calls me, our then girlfriend, says, "Hey, it's time. You need to come home. I'm gonna have a baby." I'm like, "Oh boy, I got a final." So I still remember sitting on the sidewalk or standing at the sidewalk at North Campus, talking to my professor, who happened to be Father Zimmerman, telling him, "Father, I need to go home because my girlfriend is having a baby." He's like, it was a conversation, you know, that was not easy, obviously, for many reasons, but so Father let me go home, and I came back the next day or two, and I took that final, but still thankful for that. And like I said, my wife, I can't thank her enough. I mean, we were like, what are we going to do? I'm a junior. I got one more year of school. We got a baby. Am I going to come back for my senior year? Am I going to go to a different college closer to home? No, she said, you're going back. And here I am in the Quincy Hall of Fame. She raised that baby herself for a year. And, well, I'll tell you another story, which, real fast, and I'll be done. I know you guys have been here a long time. Be patient with me. But we lived in Country Club Heights my junior year. And I wish Jeff was here. I think he left. But we lived in Country Club Heights, and we had a neighbor right across in one of the buildings next to us. And he had autism, the boy did. And we talked about him last night. His name was Chad. And Chad, every time you tried to talk to him, he would cuss you out, literally cuss you out. You couldn't have it like, he would say, "Hey, Chad, how you doing?" It would be F you, whatever. He knew our names. He'd say F you, Bart, F you, Jeff. Anyway, so he had autism, but every day his bus came at 10 to 7, every day. And the parents never had that child ready. So that bus driver would lay on that horn at 10 to 7 every day and wake me and Jeff up. I will never forget that as well. Country Club Heights, I haven't been by there, but it was probably not an ideal place for college kids to live back then. We came here late, we signed late, so there wasn't a whole lot of living choices, so we stayed there. We got in a lot of trouble there, but we did survive. So that quick story of the autistic child, so I go home, we have the baby, and so God gives me an autistic son. So my wife, like I said, raised a son for her first year with autism. I can't thank her enough. So that was God. Like, that horn every day was like waking me up, because now I got to do it. She did it. We didn't, he's high functioning. He's very, he's not near as bad as Chad, obviously. But she quit her job, what she was doing, and drove to St. Louis every day to a school in St. Louis. And without that, I'm pretty sure Brady would probably be in prison. So I can't thank her enough. And she waitressed while he was in school and then drove him home. So kudos to her. And then one more, this is the last story, I promise. None of this baseball career is possible without one person. He's not here, but without Travis Lampe, none of this is possible. It's Rhino's cousin, but I wasn't recruited out of high school. I wasn't recruited anywhere. Travis was going to KC, a junior college, and actually, I wasn't even picked for the Legion team, and Travis was on the Legion team. He's like, hey, coach, you ought to give this guy a shot. So next thing you know, I'm on the Legion team, and I had a great summer. And then Travis goes on to KC, and when I'm just going to KC and partying with him, I'm not playing baseball. And Travis was like, hey, Coach Smith, you ought to give this guy a chance. So I walked on, and 2 weeks later, I had a scholarship. And then 2 years later, I got another scholarship here. So thank you all. I appreciate it. Thank you to the committee, and go Hawks.
Bart, I can't tell you, I too played baseball here at Quincy University. The Jeff Marcus beer story has legs. It has lived on for 40 years. It's been a pleasure to induct the Spring 2023 Hall of Fame class. With all your accomplishments while at Quincy University and since leaving campus, you're indeed another pillar to our Hall of Fame. We're all very proud of you and what you've done throughout the years. But before we leave, let's give one more round of applause for our inductees.